Today we're going to be working on the power windows for the 33 Hot Rod. Today we are going to try to finish up these doors. I've already marked these doors, but now that they're in the perfect position, what I'm going to do is I bought brand new Sharpies so I could really see what's going on, use a different color than I've already used, and I'm going to do this thing because I think this is one of the areas that's just so specific. It needs to be, I'll say perfect for lack of better words, and get this thing dialed in. So that's the point of today, is to go ahead and cut these doors in, and then let's see if we could get the windows installed. The force was strong with this one. So I tried to give you guys a nice camera angle for cutting these things out. This side was actually pretty easy. The other side, like, it was working against me, and it was really easy. It was like jerking me, so I could have easily skewed off. But this one's not too bad. And then of course the Dremel works great to just get the edges done. Way better than my mini Sawzall caught. That replicating saw just sucks. I don't know if it's the blades or the unit itself, but this might be one of the last times that I have this car outside besides actually sanding the gel coat. One of the issues you have too is you could see that the internal side piece is coming this way, which makes me feel like my doors when I first started. Well, that's not true. I was going to say it would have been more forward so the window had more room, but that's not actually true because my door, if it went forward, the latch would hit the wall. So that's not actually true. So hopefully the window's on the outside and not the inside. Seems like that would be logical. And that fits perfectly. So you got to really watch so you don't cut into the side and then you're seeing that from the inside. So in any case, this thing's looking great. I love seeing it outside. It's just kind of makes me feel like I'm so close. So I'm a loss for words, but we're getting there. All right, so we're getting ready to try to put the windows and the doors. We have wiring, which goes straight to the motors. This is extra wiring to get to your switches and stuff. We have all the bolts. We have 2 of the brackets for one door. And then you have the part that holds the window. You have the actual motor and track. Of course, your weather stripping. And you can see there's the other piece there, and then this little piece goes here. And I actually have this track and motor laying in here because I wanted to verify before I cut this if the height was correct, and actually it is. So what they suggested in the manual on the version 2 doors was dead on. So not a problem. I know back in the day, version 1 doors, people were saying, well, they told me to cut it here, but then I needed an extra inch or something. So I did a little research on this because I knew that this was kind of one of the more difficult areas. And so far, just from what I'm looking at and everything seems to be on par with no issues. So we're going to be using these to actually bolt these plates to the frame and this plate to the frame. And then we'll be using these bolts actually to install all the components. So because they're already they have nuts built in, if you will. So it's all ready to go. So the biggest thing that we have to worry about is in the track that there is a squirrel. I don't know what you call it, a threaded squirrel that moves around. And we're cutting off a certain length here, and we want to make sure that that squirrel is back and we don't cut it off. So we have to actually power these motors up and move stuff before we start cutting. Squirrel gear, I think that's what I'm trying to say. All right, so I want to show you what I was trying to explain. Is we have to do a cut here for this to fit in the door, because this is a universal system that we're adapting to the 33. So you have to do a cut here, and what you want to make sure is that this little gear, if you will, is not sitting up here, and you have to power it back to make sure you don't cut it off, because if you cut it off, you're kind of screwed. So this one came from the factory with it down here, so we don't have to worry about that. We could just go ahead and cut, and I'll verify that on the other one. All right, so we have all our components inside for the powered window. And one thing that I'll say is I was using my power converter 12 volt to make the windows go up and down, and it was freaking fast. And so because of that, I don't feel comfortable. The next step is actually to put the window in and then find out how high it goes until it bottoms out against, the edge of the hardtop. Problem is it's going up and down so fast that I'm worried that if I'm doing it myself, I'm going to buckle into the window. And so I'd rather have a second person here and just feather this stuff, just, because being inside the car and outside the car at the same time is literally impossible. So that's what's going on there. Now, one of the issues I'm having is the twist on this door was severe. And so as you can see, this track is supposed to be back here. And it takes a lot of force to push that back. And I've kind of tweaked out the bolts. The other side's actually laying in perfect, and none of the bolts are tightened down when it comes to bolting it onto this rail here. But this one I had to tweak and mess with and then lock it down to try to get it, best I could. And we're still a ½ inch off. So we'll have to see how that comes in later on. But besides that, I'm pretty happy. Things are going pretty good. And it wasn't too difficult. Now, here's a tip. Originally, I tried to install this cross piece and this little thing after I put in the track with the motor. However, you could see that this bolt and there's a bolt and a second bolt, they're all below the skin of the door. So you can't really get to them to lock them in. And even though I could get my fingers barely in there, it wasn't threading correctly and I just couldn't do it. So I actually pulled the motor out, locked all that stuff in, and still was able to sink it in behind the frame and then just bolt it to the frame. So for the second one, that's what I did. First one I had to take apart and redo. So that's a tip there. You do have enough, you have enough clearance to get that behind the frame and back around and then just bolt it up. So do that all outside of the door and then pop it in afterwards. All right, so that's your big tip of the day. So before I say have a great day, just keep thinking 10,000 subs, 10,000 subs, 10,000 subs. Help me out, everybody. 10,000 subs before January 1st. Have a great day.